Okay, so this is a tomato review on the Sweet 1 Million. And unfortunately, my plants are getting completely devastated by late blight, and it is wiping out my tomato plants. So I figured I'd give you the review early, plus I need to get these red tomatoes off of here now. The chipmunks are starting to eat them, and the bugs are starting to get around, and some you can see there's possibly some late blight damage starting to form in the fruits. I need to get them off of this plant and get this plant to ripen whatever fruits it didn't ripen yet to ripen. So we need to get these ripe ones off. That's one way to get your tomato plants to really ripen up, is get all the, like you got a lot of green tomatoes on there. Well, if you want them to ripen a little faster, get all the red ones off of there so it ripens up. But there's definitely a massive mold issue this year, and I definitely need to get these off of here. Normally I would leave them on while I do the review until this brack can go all the way down to the floor, but I can't wait that long. I need to get these tomatoes off of here because I can see a few of them are beginning to develop the blight damage on the tomato, so I need to get them off now. But this is what they look like, and these bracts, as you can see here, these bracts can get like 2 feet long, and they can just keep going and going and going and going. They keep, the very end of the plant down here will keep putting out tomatoes. What's this leaf thing here? Get this thing out of here. All right, you see how it, down here, it, you can see how that bottom just keeps going with new tomato flowers and all. So that'll just keep going and going and going. You don't have to cut the whole bract off. Just take the red tomatoes off it, and it'll put out another stringer of tomatoes. But if you leave the whole thing on there, that bract will go all the way down to the floor, and all these tomatoes will just ripen on there. It'll look like a big, pack of firecrackers, but with tomatoes on it, That's kind of what it would look like. And they all do that. Well, every one of the bracts will do that. But this is the 1 million version. I have the 100 version, and they're very similar, except the 1 million gets much longer. Yeah, I'm starting to see in the beginning of the blight getting to the tomatoes, so these got to come off of here. But it's basically a regular leaf tomato plant, which is a little different because the cherry tomato leaves are a little bit different than like a leaf from another type of a tomato. The cherry tomatoes seem to have like these rounded edges on it, like they tend to be a little more, this just the shape of the leaf itself, the pattern, you can kind of, you'll start to notice the difference when you grow all these varieties of tomatoes. But that's it. I just wanted to show you what it looked like on a plant, show you what the bract looks like, and we'll go over to the table and give it a taste test. Okay, so we're up to the taste test part of this video for the Sweet 1 Million tomato. Now, unfortunately, I left these on a little bit too long, and you can see that these tomatoes are starting to get blighty. A little bit of blight damage right there. And you can start to see, more blight damage, or possibly even insect damage. But unfortunately, once they get that, you can't really eat them. Here, this is blight damage, I'm pretty sure. Now, I have been seeing squash bugs on my tomato plants, so they could have been doing some damage. This could be a result of them. There's a very good possibility, but you really don't want to eat those. I've eaten a couple with them spots on it, and they don't taste that good. And it looks like most of these tomatoes got spotty. But this is what blight looks like on a tomato anyway. When you see that, that's usually blight got to your tomato, and they're pretty much shot. So, anyway, this is what I got right now. I'm pretty sure I'll get another 1 or 2 more of these harvests this year off it. Wasn't the best producing tomato this year out of all my cherry tomatoes, but it did produce pretty good, even considering all the damage it's been through from the insects, the weather, the container getting knocked over 2 or 3 times, and just absolute abuse. The plant was literally abused this year, and yet it still put out a good amount of tomatoes. Now, there's nothing you can do about the blight. The blight's going to come in sooner or later, and when the blight comes in, it pretty much will wipe out your crop. And if you leave the tomatoes on the plant so you can get those really long stringers, because the Sweet 1 Million is known to make this tomato bract that's really long, that goes, I can't even show you because my camera's all zoomed in, but they get really long. It's like a bract that gets like 2 feet, maybe 30 inches long, and it fills up with tomatoes. It looks like a pack of firecrackers, so to speak, but with tomatoes on it. So it's a real long thing like that with all these tomatoes. It's very gorgeous. But when you got a blight problem, don't go that far. Just keep picking the tomatoes off it on a regular basis and eat them, because if not, the blight's going to get them, and or the squirrels or the chipmunks or the insects, and it's not going to end. You're just going to get wiped out completely. So pick them, eat them, and don't waste them, because the insects and the animals will be more than glad to finish your crop off. So let me try to find one here that's not too blighty. They all got damage on them though, and I'm under the assumption that a lot of this damage is also due to the squash bugs that I've been seeing on there. Been seeing squash bugs on my tomato plants, and that's the first time I've ever seen that happen. I guess they can smell the fruit is really sweet and they're coming out of the woodwork, but they're biting up my tomatoes pretty good. But this one don't look like it'll be too bad. Let's cut it open. Hopefully that's focusing in. I have no idea. That's what it looks like. Let's give it a taste test. Man, that is sweet. Give it a bricks too. That's a 9 on the bricks, so it's a pretty high number. Like I told you, generally the sweetness on tomatoes don't go too much over 11. So if you get a tomato that's higher than 11, I don't know what to tell you. You better try to grow more of those, because that's totally outside the realm of where tomatoes should be. But this is pretty high. This tomato's up there about 9, which means it's got a lot of nutrients in it from the good soil, and sweetness really developed really good in this tomato. So now this is a Solanum lycopersicum. It's also an indeterminate tomato. That's about all I know about it. I don't know who's the creator of it or any of that. Can't find too much about it, but if I find anything, I'll put it in the description below. We'll try one more tomato. The only thing, again, is the skins. They can be a little on the tough side. If you chew them too long and the skin separates from the flesh too much, then they're going to get stuck to the roof of your mouth. But if you kind of chew it a little bit, get the juice out of it and swallow it, the skin will go down with everything and you don't have that problem. But if you chew it completely, right down to the skin, you're going to end up with that skin getting stuck in your mouth. Okay, so the smaller ones that are less developed than the bigger ones, like these smaller ones tend to be a little bit more tangy than these bigger ones. The bigger ones developed a nice balanced flavor. Sweetness, again, is going to be like 40, 45 on it. Very, very sweet. Tangy is a little higher, though. Tangy was up there about 35. So it was very close to being very well balanced. Just a little bit out. It was definitely more sweet than tangy, but still good nonetheless. I could eat these things all day long, provided they're not insect-ridden and bitten up by the squash bugs and the blight that's getting on them. But outside of that, I could eat these tomatoes all day long. They're absolutely delicious, well worth to grow. I will be growing these more and more. I got to try different parts of the yard and different environments and see if I can get the plant to its full health and go from there. So as far as the rating, I'm not rating the tomatoes this year. I'm just going to leave it as is. Just wanted to show you what it looks like, maybe give you an idea what it tastes like, show you it to you on the bricks. And that's it. So that's your tomato review for the Sweet 1 Million. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next one.